$7 million for reef fish management, $25 billion to combat Asian carp. They weren't coming because they couldn't get in. Once they think they can get in, they're coming, and they are coming at levels that you haven't even seen yet.
Look, talk about education. I propose that what we take is those very poor schools, Title I schools, triple the amount of money we spend from $15 to $45 billion a year. Give every single teacher a raise, an equal raise, getting out the $60,000 level. Number two, make sure that we bring in to help the students, the teachers deal with the problems that come from home. The problems that come from home, we have one school psychologist for every 1,500 kids in America today. It's crazy. The teachers are I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher. They have every problem coming to them. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. I am not up to the job. And I mean that sincerely. It's not like, whoa.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen, and I said, this is genius. And then they have cans of soup, and they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup from my family. They're so innocent. This is soup from my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it in the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup from my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people. And only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ
all of a sudden we can't talk about Neanderthal DNA anymore.
running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the vote.
They're coming all over the place.
Hello? Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Hello? Can anyone hear me? Testing. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Okay. Alright. Hello users and welcome to another episodic in stylation of the goddamn. I am here once again, coming to you live. I'm live, and so we're doing a show today, and I would like to let everyone know that there's a show happening. Right now. It's currently occurring. I need to drink the rest of my coffee. I am fucking. Woo! So apparently, I'm trying to find this Jordan Peterson video that you're mentioning in the chat. Apparently he's crying again. Like, is this it? Is this the clip? I have yet to hear about this. I just searched. This is from yesterday. Is this the clip? Is this the one?
And it makes noise. It means you.
Is there more? Like, hold up. Someone try to find me the someone find me the crying clip. Send it to me on Twitter. Did I see a cop help a convicted felon escape Kentucky, I believe? That's cool. Very cool. All right. So, doing a show today, and anyway, so let's watch these Jordan Peterson videos. I was not aware that this existed until 5 minutes ago, and so let's watch. Apparently he's now. This is the thing about Jordan Peterson. Is that he's been on a little bit of a crying tour. Like, this is his latest thing.
It's like, oh, Abel's your guy, eh, God? How about if I take him out in the field and beat him to death? How do you feel about that? All my sacrifices went
He looks fucking sweaty as hell in this clip, by the way. Like,
rewarded. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's what it is at the bottom of the hell of things.
so he's been crying for a while. I've got a couple more examples. But he's been I don't really know what it is. I'm going to be honest. Like his whole like marketing brand is that he's got his shit together. He's going to help you get your shit together, and he's like, men are the most important thing in the world. And now he's just crying. Like, he's going on show after show and show after show, just crying like a baby. So I have not seen this clip yet. I wonder how bad it is, or good, depending on your persuasion. Let's watch.
And you think, well, we're going to destroy the planet. We have to do this. We have to demoralize the youth to be ethical. It's like, yeah, really, that's your theory? You're going to demoralize young people to be ethical? That's your theory? It's like, you should go home and think about that for like a year. And I'm
okay. So this kind of starts off in the middle of a rant. So we're demoralizing people to be ethical. What?
And you think, well, we're going to destroy the planet. We have to do this. We have to demoralize the youth to be ethical. It's like, yeah, really, that's your theory? You're going to demoralize young people to be ethical? That's your theory? It's like, you should go home and think about that for like a year. And I'm passionate about this, because
what?
You have no idea how many people that's killing. You have no idea.
And then this guy is just like, he's along for the ride. He's just like, fascinating. It appears Jordan is crying on the program today.
I see people everywhere, all over the world. They're so demoralized. Especially young people with a conscience, because they've been told since they were little that there's nothing to them but corruption and power. It's like, how the hell do you expect them to react? Well, I shouldn't do anything then, And you think, well, we're going to destroy the planet. We have to do this. We have to demoralize the youth to be ethical. It's like, how the hell do you expect them to react? Well, I shouldn't do anything then,
All right,
think, well,
so apparently there's a part 2. Let's watch.
And all good things share some good in common. Well, what is the good that they share in common? Well, for all intents and purposes, that's God. And you might say, well, I don't believe in that. So I don't know what you mean. You don't believe there's any such thing as good? You don't believe there's any such thing as ultimate good? I'm not trying to make some ontological claim about an old man living in the sky, although I think that's a lot more sophisticated concept than people generally realize. That's not my point. My point is, you do have a belief system, whether you know it or not. It's a system of ethics, whether you know it or not. There's either something at the bottom that unifies it, or it's not unified, which means you're aimless and hopeless and depressed and anxious and confused, because those are the only other options. And maybe you don't know what that unifying belief is, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. It just means you don't know what it is. And all good things...
What the fuck is this guy on about? Yo, I don't know what's going on, but let's just leave it here for let's just leave that as the way that we talk about this. So first of all, what? Second of all, is there any response that's necessary here? I'm gonna be honest with you, like anyone watching or in any way interacting with Jordan Peterson content who doesn't realize that this guy is a fucking just weirdo psychopath. I mean, I don't know what. Okay, so God exists, and so he exists. So there's God, and that's a lot more sophisticated than you might realize. Is that God exists? Okay, and so he exists, and also we're telling our young people to. Okay, so we're telling our young people that they're corrupt. What? No. First of all, our young people are the ones telling the old geezers that they're corrupt. It's not the other way around, right? Jordan Peterson, in his fantasy world, right? Like the elders are teaching kids to hate themselves, and I mean that's what conservatives are doing. Is he talking to himself? Is he talking to his own ideology? I don't know, but and then I love this other guy here who's just he's staring at him like he's in a zoo, right? Like Jordan Peterson is like a fucking animal on the other side of the glass, and this guy is just yes, just watching Jordan in his natural habitat. Oh yes, right? It's just I don't know, man. This right here, 2022 in one picture. 2022 in one goddamn picture. That's incredible. So thank you for sharing that with me. That was definitely worth it. Most of the messed up people are the ones who thinks they have technology and science, BCS, they are white? What? I do not comprehend any of that. But welcome to the show, Blood Moon. Goddamn, the letter hack is in the program today. This motherfucker did a thing. Drew me. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you. But the letter hack started doing live streams. And in one of these live streams, I was produced. An image of my likeness was produced. I would like to announce that I've already got a team of lawyers on this because I personally feel like that my brand is under assault. My brand is under assault by this, and so I've already dispatched an elite team of lawyers, and they're on their way to arrest the letter hack immediately. But anyway, this is the image of my likeness that exists, and it's pretty good. So good job, letter hack. And I recommend watching letter hack's stream archive when watching this, because letter hack is spitballing some new ideas. We're gonna, we got some new ideas to work with. So, but we'll save those for later. We got some new secret strategies that are gonna be potentially brought upon this earth. And so there you go. That's a thing that exists in the world. And we're in the world, so we also exist in the world, if you can believe it. All right, so we got a show going on. Doing a program today. So yesterday, I got a little wasted on the stream yesterday. I don't know if anyone is aware of that. I remember like doing a little bit of a show, and then like we talked about like, Madison Cawthorn fucking his cousin's face for an hour. I don't quite remember how that whole show happened, but I've received messages from people telling me that they enjoyed the program, so thank you for watching. And needless to say, I finished an entire bottle of tequila, and I no longer have any. So, very good program yesterday. Apparently, I couldn't tell you. I don't remember too much. But so there you go. Oh, woo! Goddamn. Sicko de Mayo, I've still never had a hangover. I am convinced that like some part of my being is either that, or I've had hangovers all the time and they're not nearly as bad as everyone pretends that they are. But I don't know, sometimes I wake up and I'm a little thirsty, but that's just like with or without heavy drinking, sometimes I wake up and I'm thirsty. But I don't know, like I'm pretty sure that hangovers are a conspiracy theory. Like I am pretty sure, like I'm like 80%, 90% sure that when people talk about hangovers, they're 1, stupid, 2, making it up for attention, and 3, extremely stupid. That's where I'm at right now. I am sitting here 3 weeks before I turn 26 years old. It's because you hydrate yourself. That is true. 75% of Americans don't know how to drink water because they're fucking dumb. You ever think about that? Like 3 out of 4 people in this society are too fucking stupid to drink water. Right? Like, if breathing was something that wasn't automatic, these motherfuckers would forget how to breathe. Like, I swear to God. I swear to fucking God. Like, if breathing was not automatic, these stupid, shit-for-brain, cocksucker, motherfucker, and dumb fuck Americans would be like... Like, that's what they would, because they're fucking stupid. Like, they're all, oh my god. 75%, they don't know how to do it. Like, they see water bottle, and they're like, nah, I don't want that. You ever meet these motherfuckers? That are like, I don't drink water because I don't like the taste? Like, what the fuck? Like, there is no taste, motherfucker. It's water that, I mean, like, and this is the same thing with food, right? Like, I don't know how to feed myself. Oh, I'm not gonna eat a vegetable. I don't like the taste. Motherfucker, it's called food. It's called fucking food. Like, I don't know, like that's like fucking sucking down, like, fucking car exhaust. Like, hooking up a tube to the fucking, like, exhaust pipe of a car. And then just, like, breathing it in. Oh, it tastes good. I got a I don't want my oxygen to be so bland. Like, these motherfuckers are dumb as hell. These motherfuckers, I can't with Americans, man. Americans, honestly, go fuck yourselves, every single one of you. Myself included. In fact, I'm gonna go fuck myself as soon as the show is over. I gotta go look up that Madison Cawthorn video again. I heard there's an extended edition. Why drink water when you're gonna piss it out? Oh! That's so funny. Oh my god. It's a lot easier to stay hydrated when you're drinking in your own house. Imagine, like, going outside, though. Like, imagine leaving the house in any way. All right, so we got a show going on. We're doing a program here. I would like to announce, actually, I've got an announcement to make. And that it is, in fact, according to reports... Yeah! It is the weekend. Once again, we are here at Above It All Industries to bring about, it's the weekend. It's Friday. This is the weekend. We live in a 5-day work week society. I mean, I live in a 7-day work week society. I don't even know what a weekend is. I don't believe in weekends. I don't believe in weeks. I don't believe in months. I don't even believe in time. I think time is an illusion. It's a fabrication. It's perceptual mishaps of our brains. There's no such thing as time. It's all made up. That being said, it is, in fact, the weekend. We are here at the Above It All Industries. It is May 6th, and so it is May 6th at the weekend, and so May 6th, and so we're here. You know what they say on Twitter? When they do that, May the 6th be with you, or whatever it is. I don't know. I read that on Twitter. Anyway, we got a show, doing a program. Let's talk about crazy ass motherfuckers. Let's talk about some real, you ever think what goes on, the human brain? Let's foreground this. Let's ground this whole segment. The human brain, capable of so much wonder, so much power, so much thought, so much intelligence, and yet we have people like this. So this is Howard Schultz, CEO of Starbucks. I don't even know how to preface this one, but this is really, truly fascinating. Let's watch.
So when you love something so much, you almost want to do anything to defend it, to preserve it, to enhance it, like you would for your family. And for so many people at Starbucks, this has become their family. And how personal it is. And it is very personal, especially when you have an adversary that's threatening the very essence of what you believe to be true.
Okay, so first of all, we got to remind ourselves, Starbucks uses slave labor overseas to harvest its coffee beans and other such. They literally employ slaves. We need to talk about this, right? Oh, slavery. Remember that thing in the history books? No, actually, Starbucks pays slave encampments, right, to employ slaves and also children. So Starbucks gets its coffee from child laborers and slaves, right? So that's important to understand. Second of all, but that's the essence of his being, right? The essence of what he believes to be true is being threatened because workers want to unionize. Why does he find unionization so scary? Well, because he doesn't like the idea of workers having rights. That's why he employs slaves in other countries to harvest coffee. That's why he employs children, people that don't have rights in other countries, right? So he is very upset by the idea, right, that anyone that would possibly ever work for him would actually, say, hey, I'm a human being and I deserve to be treated well. To him, that's, again, against the very essence of his being, right? The billions of cells that orchestrate the fucking like biomass known as Howard Schultz, right? All of them are working together to make sure that as many people are enslaved as possible. And the fact that anyone would have any sort of liberatory struggle in regards to his company, to him, again, it puts him on suicide watch. Like, this shit's crazy. So let's keep going.
And so I want to ask you to understand what it means to take it personally and do everything we can collectively and individually to protect, preserve, and enhance the company. And I know that from a strategy standpoint and from an investment standpoint, we're going to do all the things the right way.
So I just want to be very clear, right? Like, Starbucks is spending millions and millions and millions of dollars in union busting and maintaining slavery in as much as its supply chain as possible. And so, but think about this, right? Think about how resources work. Like, in their world, spending $10 million on giving their workers, a raise, spending $10 million on maybe, I don't know, paying the slaves who harvest the coffee beans, right? No. I'm going to spend $10 million on lawyers, right, to try to make sure that my workers get less money. I'm going to give money not to the people that I employ that make my company even exist. No. Fuck them. I'm going to give all of my money to a bunch of lawyers to keep them down, hopefully get them fired, and make sure that they can't get anything at all to survive. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
But all of that doesn't matter if the execution doesn't measure up to the quality of the coffee.
What? I don't even, okay, so the other aspect of this that's really strange is he's talking about unions as an outside adversary? Like, what? Like, what is this language? Like, this guy thinks he's, like, some fucking, like, movie, like, character. Like, he's in a cartoon. What is that language? Like, what is that? There's an outside adversary, and they told me that we should abolish slavery, and I was thinking, no way, I love slavery. Like, an outside force said that I should pay my workers a little bit more than starvation wages. Well, if I can get my fucking way, I'd enslave them all. That's why I have half of my supply chain being produced by slaves, right? So, but this is crazy. Like, this guy is nuts. This is some, like, psychosis. This guy is, like, Mike Lindell tier, like, fucking psychopath. Like, let's be really honest here. Like, Mike Lindell, right, the guy that thinks the machines are haunted and the machines, like, fucking, like, are, like, stalking him in his sleep or whatever. Like, let me just play the fucking...
But it's a class action lawsuit against all machines and that they're defective devices.
So Mike Lindell, right? He's like the right-wing guy. Like, machines are like chasing him in his sleep, right? The fucking shadow machine people, right? And then you've got Howard Schultz, right? The outside forces. Remember the last time I covered this guy? He was talking about how, like, our entire family is being assaulted. We're under assault by these outside forces of evil, these adversarial forces of evil that just sold me that they don't want to have slavery involved in Starbucks' supply chain anymore. No! Right, like, what the fuck? Like, what is this guy talking about? Like, again, like, this guy is a psychopath. He has a mental illness of some kind. And that's the thing you really need to understand, right? In order to get to the position that Howard Schultz is in right now at this moment, again, his company is built off of the back of slave labor. His company is built off the back of child labor, right? That is one of the massive ways that they make a profit at all, is they employ slavery to acquire their product, right? So, and again, a lot of other companies do this too, right? Like Nestle, for example, employs slave labor to get their cocoa beans and so forth, right? So this is not like a very rare practice, right? Slavery never ended. Slavery will always probably exist as long as billionaires exist, because without slaves, we could have no such thing as billionaires. That's just how it is, right? But anyway, Like, so, but this guy, like, I really need people to understand billionaires are not human beings, right? They are like, like, it's like, like cancer, how cancer works, right? Like, so it's your cells basically continuing to divide and produce more cells, but without, they're going off script, right? Like, your liver cells are supposed to regenerate the liver. What if they just started generating a bunch of shit on the liver? That's called cancer, motherfucker. You got cancer, right? That's no longer a, functioning apparatus of your organ, right? And so, but that's like, that's the situation. I want to make this analogy that's what billionaires have. They've got like some sort of brain cancer, but in like the mental sense, like in the mind sense, like I don't think they've got physical tumors, so they might. That could be a potential aggressor. Maybe that's the outside adversary he's talking about. But anyway, but what they do have is a cancer of the mind. Like their brain does not know how to function properly anymore, right? Like they are outside of all logic and reason. They have left the real world, right? They're in some fantasy realm of utter imagination, and like that's what they live in. That's what they are in. Like, so when Howard Schultz is talking about how slaves wanting money makes them like evil or whatever, like you have to understand, like to him, slavery is a core part of his identity, right? Just like the motherfuckers in the goddamn 19th century that we fought a war over, slavery is a core aspect of his identity, right? He wants to put down the people that work for him as much as humanly possible, right? And unfortunately in the United States, we've outlawed slavery, at least, theoretically speaking, right? I mean, look at the prison industrial complex, right? And that's why, again, as much of the supply chain as possible for a lot of these corporations, Starbucks, Nestle, and so forth, right? A lot of the supply chains, as much of them as possible, does employ slave labor overseas, child labor. Why? Because it's cheaper, right? Why do you think people outsource their jobs? Because it's cheaper. They don't care about human rights. They don't care about, like, national security. They don't care about supply chains. All they care about is control and power. And that's why, again, they could spend $30 million giving wage increases to every one of their employees, but instead they're spending $30 million on a failed union busting campaign. They're just wasting the money, setting it all on fire because it's not working, right? They're setting the money on fire instead of doing something good. If they did, now think about it this way as well, on the productivity angle, when workers are happier and when their wages increase, right, their productivity increases, their well-being increases, right? Slaves do not actually produce, they're not as productive as like healthy individuals that have all of their needs taken care of, right? They're typically starved, they're typically taken advantage of, and as a result, their productivity decreases. So again, this is not about productivity. This is not about making the best coffee in the world, because if it was, you would be paying your workers more money. They would be doing a better job as a result. They would be happier as a result. They would be more productive as a result, but they're not doing that because, again, it's about power and control. That is nothing to do with quality of the product. It has nothing to do with quality of anything. It has nothing to do with making the best coffee in the world, right? It is about control and power. Billionaires are slave owners. Every single one of them. There are 0 billionaires that will ever exist and have ever existed that have not profited off of slave labor. Look at all of these corporations, right? Look at where do you think a lot of the raw materials gets, mined out for computers and technology, right? It gets mined out from these giant mines in Africa and South America that are often, again, employed by children and slaves, right? So again, all of these major industries, all of these big, billionaire bitches that control the world right now, all of them made their money off the backs of slavery, child labor, and forcing their workers in as many ways as possible to have the worst possible quality of life experience. Because again, they don't value, it's not about the money, right? It's not about the money. Like if I got $1 billion, like I'd be buying like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and like fucking like I'd be like, buying food for my friends, and I'd be like buying video games and books and fucking maybe I'll build a new computer, right? These guys, they don't have $1 billion and actually spend it, because if they spent it, right? They would actually improve the economy because they would be spending their money. What they do is they hoard their money. They stockpile it as much as possible. Why? Because again, if a billionaire is spending money on anything, right, that money is going to exchange hands, presumably into someone who's lower on the leaderboard of capitalism to them, right? So why do that when you can hoard as much money as you can? And that's the problem. These people just hoard and hoard and hoard and hoard. They steal and steal and leech and suck and suck and suck the rest of this fucking species dry. And again, it's insane. It's crazy. They live in a fantasy world, but what are we going to do about it? That's what I'm left wondering. So, we have literal slavers running this country and running the world. Billionaire, slave-owning jackasses, right? Spending all of their money, again, on lawyers and these firms that really, in the end, just, like, support them and make the money go back to them anyway. So, if you spend $30 million on lawyers, right, but they're, like, your personal lawyers, right, that's going to pay dividends and you're going to make that money back in other ways, right? So, again, it's not even really spending money. It's more of an investment. Anytime billionaires spend any money whatsoever, what they're doing is investing in their money. That's why, again, with this Elon Musk bullshit, right, like Elon Musk, he didn't spend $44 billion on Twitter. He did not use $44 billion on Twitter. He did not buy Twitter for $44 billion. What he did was he put his money in a significantly, distorted and with heavy interest bank account, essentially known as Twitter, right? The stock prices are going up. The stock market right now is fucking garbage. But guess what? Twitter is one of the stocks that's performing, it's outperforming a lot of the market. I think I checked yesterday and Twitter was outperforming the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones and other stuff, right? So again, we need to really understand what language is. Again, Elon Musk is not buying Twitter for $44 billion. He is not giving the people of Twitter $44 billion and then not having it anymore, right? He is investing $44 billion in something that will only gain value, right? So again, he is not buying Twitter for $44 billion. What he is doing is he's probably buying another $20 billion with $44 billion. That would be another way to put it. Or if you want to say it, more specifically, he's buying $60 billion with $44 billion. And that's exactly how this economy works, right? They just slosh their money around and fucking give it to each other and back and forth and then inflate the currency and then fuck over the fucking lower class. Anything that they can to reduce the lower class into nothing. And all of these billionaires have the same agenda and they treat us in the same fucking way. Every single one of them. So fuck them all straight to hell. Also, again, well, there's the rest of the things I would like to say, not allowed to say on YouTube. So we'll end it there. Oh. God damn. It's a good ass fucking stretch. A murderer won a Republican primary? Nice. Anyway, got a show going on, doing a program here today. Let's see. So we got some important stuff going on. Let me find out when this is. Yesterday's show was fun. Thank you, Courtney. Andrea is lovely. Heart emoji. I try my best. Nice leggings. Thank you very much. Amos Boavis. Hangovers aren't real for you because you are young. See, that's what people tell me, but I'm getting older. I'm getting pretty old. Like, I've had, like, people younger than me go, like, I just had such a cool hangover, bro. I'm never drinking again. And I'm like, bro, I'm, like, fucking 10 years older than you. What the fuck are you on about? Like, I don't know. All right. So there's a primary election. There's a lot to talk about. And I'm going to do 2 separate segments on this. Actually, I'll combine them. I'll combine these. So there's a primary going on in Texas. And it is involving a Justice Democrat endorsed candidate, Jessica Cisneros, versus an anti-abortion right-wing psychopath Democrat, so-called Henry Cuellar. He is the only, to my understanding, the only Democrat in the caucus that is openly anti-abortion. Now, again, Nancy Pelosi is pro-life. She is a pro-life radical. That's why she's campaigning for Henry Cuellar. Jim Clyburn, also a pro-life fascist radical. That's why he is campaigning for Henry Cuellar. Right. So Henry Cuellar, openly against abortion, openly advocates for fascistically treating anyone with a womb as a second-class citizen or a slave or property, right? But then everyone who endorses him also tacitly anti-abortion, also wants anyone with a womb to be treated as a second-class citizen or a slave. That's what they advocate for. And so Jessica Cisneros released a statement in regards to this race as she is going up against Henry Cuellar, and especially in regards to the latest episode of Roe v. Wade being dismantled. I know it's happened 38 times in the last 20 minutes, but I want to play this and we'll go from there. Again, I just want to be very clear. Nancy Pelosi is an anti-abortion, radical, fascist, want-to-be slave owner. That's my opinion. You will not change my opinion unless she immediately rescinds her endorsement of Henry Cuellar. She is dead to me. She is garbage. If I endorse Adolf Hitler, you would be wondering why the fuck I would do that, right? What's the difference between Adolf Hitler and people that endorse Adolf Hitler's policy agenda? Guess what? There really is no difference. And I want people to understand that is what this debate is about. It's not about, oh, this ain't the deal, no, lie. That's not what it's about. If it was about that, then these motherfuckers would never even think about jerking off. Every time you even have sex for the sake of procreation, you are also committing mass murder of millions and millions and millions and millions of different sperms that don't even make it anyway. So, anyway, again, it is not about anything about the life, right? It's about control. They are fascists, and they are want-to-be slave owners, and they want to treat anyone with a womb as a slave and personal property. It's that simple. There is no if, there is no and, there is no but. If someone endorses Adolf Hitler, they are as bad as Adolf Hitler, okay? So Nancy Pelosi endorsing someone like Henry Cuellar makes her as bad as Henry Cuellar. All of Henry Cuellar's bad properties are then put on to Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is a fascist. She is a fucking moron. She is pure, unadulterated evil. So with that being said, let's see what Jessica Cisneros has to say about Henry Cuellar.
As the Supreme Court prepares to overturn Roe v. Wade, I am calling on Democratic Party leadership to withdraw their support of Henry Cuellar, who is the last anti-choice Democrat in Congress. At every turn, my congressman has stood in opposition to the Democratic Party agenda, from being anti-union to being anti-choice. And with the House majority on the line, Cuellar could very much be the deciding vote on the future of reproductive rights in this country, and we just cannot afford that risk. On May 24th, we will defeat the last anti-choice Democrat, and South Texas will finally have a representative in their corner who will fight for their health care, their jobs, and their freedom. I hope Democratic Party leadership won't stand in the way of delivering for South Texan families, and I'm ready to work with them to deliver on the Democratic agenda. But we cannot do this alone. We can win this, but it's going to take all of us. We only have 20 days to get this done. If you live in the district, I hope to count on your vote, and I hope to see you out there knocking on some doors to get out the vote for the May 24th election. And it's also really easy to support our campaign from wherever you are. Please consider chipping in $10, $20, $30, whatever you can do, or joining one of our phone banks. Please go to Jessica Cisneros for Congress.com. That's Jessica Cisneros, Cisneros for Congress.com to get plugged in.
So, very important. And so again, I want everyone, if they have any potential or skills whatsoever, phone bank, it's important to do. If you have, if you want to donate, I would highly recommend doing so. To this campaign, it's probably going to be where your money is going to be most useful. At least one of the areas where donating to a political candidate would be most useful. But also, again, as she mentions here, it is mandatory the Democratic leadership revoke and rescind their endorsement of Henry Cuellar. If they don't, the Democratic Party is meaningless. The Democratic Party is not a bastion for reproductive rights. The Democratic Party is where reproductive rights go to fucking die. The leader of the Democratic Party in the House of Representatives is an anti-abortion Democrat, right? I need people to understand that. The whip, who I believe currently is Jim Clyburn, is that correct? I could be wrong. I know he's in high-ranking leadership, right? Also an anti-abortion Democrat. In my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, I want to make it very clear, right? Henry Cuellar is not the only anti-abortion Democrat. If someone else endorses him, right, knowing that he's anti-abortion in this climate with the Roe v. Wade SCOTUS leak, they are, for all intents and purposes, also an anti-abortion Democrat. Again, if you endorse Adolf Hitler, oh, well, I endorse Adolf Hitler for sure, but, I don't really agree with everything he wants. I endorsed him. I endorsed Adolf Hitler. I think he's the best guy for the job. Does that mean I agree with everything he does? No, not really. That's Nancy Pelosi. And yeah, I'm comparing Adolf Hitler to Henry Cuellar. I'm sorry. Go fuck yourself if you go fuck yourself. It's called an analogy, you fucking stupid fucking prick. Anyway, so I also want to play this clip of Elizabeth Warren. I know. We all hate Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is garbage. Elizabeth Warren is shit on my fucking shoes. And again, in the same way that in the same way that Nancy Pelosi, as an anti-abortion Democrat, because she endorses Henry Cuellar, Elizabeth Warren is a pro-corporate, pro-business, pro-fraud, anti-union, anti-American candidate for endorsing Joe Biden in the 2020 primary, and for doing all she could to make sure that Bernie Sanders would lose the race. So again, fuck Elizabeth Warren. That said, people still pay attention to her, and she has endorsed. She is one of the few high-ranking Democratic congresspeople in the Senate, of course, to endorse Jessica Cisneros over Henry Cuellar, and I think that is an important thing to do. I think that that's important to understand, and especially in this moment, so I want to play this little clip here.
So I think
that's really loud. Holy shit.
Part of this is going to be we're going to have that fight one more time around the filibuster. And look, I look at it this way. If we don't have enough Democrats to get that job done right now, then give us some more Democrats. And I actually want to put it a pitch right now for something everybody who's watching this can do today. Not just, on down the line, but right now today. There's about to be a primary down in Texas for a congressional seat. Henry Cuellar sits in that seat. He is someone who has supported the Texas abortion ban. He's someone who has voted against federal efforts to try to protect Roe versus Wade at the federal level. And he's running against a young woman, Jessica Cisneros, who's terrific and who has a real chance to beat him and who will fight for a woman's right to make her own decisions about her life. So if you're mad when you listen to this, send Jessica Cisneros $10. If you can afford it, send her $25. If you can afford more, send more. But don't talk to me about how frustrated you are because you don't like our particular constellation of Democrats. Help us get some Democrats elected who will actually make a difference. I'm mad. I'm ready to take action, but we need this entire nation to speak out. If the vast majority of people in this country want to see Roe versus Wade protected, then it's going to take all of us working on this. And yeah, it may take a little patience, it may take some frustration, but that's how we get there. And believe me, this is a fight worth having.
So, again, I think Elizabeth Warren is garbage. I think she is if you were to write, like, a book, right, and try to, like, pinpoint, like, the moments in American history where everything went wrong, I personally feel like Elizabeth Warren would be one of, like, I think she's on the top 10 for, like, one of the worst, like, positioned strategically, like, blundered, like, politicians of all time, in my opinion, right? She is up there with, like, you know, putting Andrew Johnson as vice president and other stuff, in my opinion. I think she is a absolute and utter disaster for American politics overall in the grand scheme. That said, this is the exact kind of statement that she would be making, or should be making. This is the exact kind of statement everyone in the Democratic Party should be making, except I would go further and call out Nancy Pelosi, who is an anti-abortion, radical, fucking self-loathing freak show, one of the most horrible, wretched, disgusting leaders of the so-called Democratic Party that has ever existed in human history. She is trash. And more people need to say that Nancy Pelosi has got to go. If she is going to endorse an anti-abortion shithole fuckface called Henry Cuellar over a young progressive woman who actually gives a fuck about reproductive freedom, guess what? She is an anti-abortion Democrat. So is James Clyburn. So is everyone else who has endorsed Henry Cuellar. They are all garbage. They are all garbage. Garbage. The world would be significantly better if people like Nancy Pelosi just suddenly stopped existing. If people like James Clyburn just decided to fucking retire already. Y'all motherfuckers are 80 fucking years old. Just go the fuck away. It's that simple. There is no excuse to have any fascists in the Democratic Party. That goes for Joe Manchin, that goes for Kyrsten Sinema, and that goes for Nancy Pelosi. Fuck the fascists, get them out, and purge them from this so-called big tent. If our tent is big enough to have fascists and people that think that anyone with a womb is property or a second class or, God forbid, a third class citizen, they are garbage and they need to fucking go. They need to fucking go. Fuck them. Purge them completely, get rid of them, and then never even think about letting them in the party ever again. Otherwise, what's the point of the Democratic Party? Why does it exist? If it's fascist light, the Republicans are openly fascist. They are endorsing neo-Nazis. Half of them are neo-Nazis. Most of them tried to destroy the U.S. government almost a year and a half ago now. And Democrats letting them do it, also endorsing a lot of their policies. So why have a fascist party and a fascist diet party instead of a fascist party and an anti-fascist party? The Democratic Party needs to become an anti-fascist party. And as it stands, really, it's doing everything in its can to resist that. The Democratic Party is doing everything in its power, everything, the leadership, Chuck Schumer as well, doing everything in their power to maintain the consistent through line of fascism in this country. They don't give a fuck about reproductive freedom. They don't give a fuck about your rights. They don't give a fuck about your health. They don't give a fuck about anything. All they all care about is money and power. It's that simple. So anyway, there you go. All right, y'all. So that's the news portion of the program. We are now going to get into the fun portion of the program, featuring... We're going to do some movie reviews. Couple of them. Watched a couple movies over the last couple of days. And, but I also want to talk about a couple other things, too, that are not news related, right? This is the problem with power mongers. They won't go away. It's true. I just noticed you have a new chair. It's also true. Check it out. I'm spinning. Woo! I gotta, once I get like a different setup going on, I need to find a way to do like a full spin. You know, like I can't hear because where I'm at is a little cramped right now, the little corner in the Faraday cage. Sol Sandoval is running for Bobert's seat. Send her money. I will look into that. Goddamn cute cock. I'm never voting Dem again. Yeah, I disagree with that. You shouldn't do a full spin. Well, I mean, I could take them off, right? You know, the cord's gonna wrap around me. It's gonna turn into like a fucking bondage show. I'm gonna get fucking wrapped by this fucking goddamn cable. I'm gonna get stuck. Anyway, so I wanna announce something. Now, y'all may have noticed. Y'all may notice things. Things may be noticeable. To human beings that pay attention to my content that exists. But we're about to launch into another episodic installation of hashtag My Gamer Story, folks. Hashtag My Gamer Story. So, you may have realized, you may have watched, I've been doing some video game speedruns recently. I've been trying to get back into several different series. And one of them that I've been playing a lot is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series on the mobile machines known as the Game Boy. And so recently I got the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dungeon Dice Monsters world record. Best in the world! I'm good. I'm better than you. Just saying. And I have moved on. This is my next project. Is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Eternal Duelist Soul. This is the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Game on Game Boy Advance. It follows the card game, the official card game, trading card game rule set. And so this is going to be my next speedrun project. I wanted to talk about this. I've decided I'm going to try and get the world record for every single Yu-Gi-Oh! Game that is on mobile machines. So Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. I might go and try to do Nintendo DS runs, but I don't have a Nintendo DS capture device. So, you know, right now I'm just thinking about Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. And so anyway, so this is my next project, right? So I'm going to try to get the record for Yu-Gi-Oh! Eternal Duelist Soul. In addition to Dungeon Dice Monsters is going to be my next project. But I was also thinking, so I've had most of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Games for a while now, but there's a couple that I don't have, and you know, there's also a couple that are Japanese exclusive, right? So I'm going to give y'all a little history lesson. So the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Game released in the United States of America, to my understanding, is this one, which I have yet to play. This is the Game Boy Color game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories. And so this is the very first Yu-Gi-Oh! Game released in North America, to my understanding. And so, you know, there it goes. This is for Game Boy Color. And so, now again, I started with Dungeon Dice Monsters because that's the first one released on Game Boy Advance, and it's also one of my favorites. And now I'm doing Eternal Duelist Soul. But after I'm done Eternal Duelist Soul, I'm planning on going back to do Dark Duel Stories, right? But also, again, we're doing a little bit of a history lesson here. So Dark Duel Stories, this is actually not the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. This is just the first one that was released in North America. So recently, I managed to I made an acquisition of some kind with, some of the amazing stream contributions that people have made. And so I got the very first Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. This is called Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. This is the original, very first Yu-Gi-Oh! Game and on Game Boy, but it's Japanese only. Once again, this was not released in the United States of America, right? So I'm going to try to do a speedrun of this. Here's the back of the box. And it looks very cartoony. It's definitely got that original manga stylization to it that I really like. But I also got this. I got Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 2. Dark Duel Stories. So this is the second Yu-Gi-Oh game to be released. Now, you might know Dark Duel Stories, right? So are these the same games? So we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories, the first American game, and then Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 2, the second Japanese game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 2, Dark Duel Stories. Are these the same game? Right? Like, is this the English version of this game? Wrong! Right? This is Duel Monsters 2, right? This is Duel Monsters 3, aka Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 3. It's like try something, holy something, I don't know, I forget the subtitle and I can't read Japanese. But this game, these are the same, alright? So these are the same game. This is not the same game. This is Duel Monsters 2, Dark Duel Stories. This is Duel Monsters 3, and this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories. These are not the same game. So when I was looking into the Japanese exclusive games, I thought that these were the same games and not these. Because why would they call this one Dark Duel Stories and then make a third game and then release the third game in America and call the third game Dark Duel Stories? Why? Well, I don't know. All I know is I'm a little chronologically confused. That's what I know, okay? So anyway, I guess they liked the title of this one and didn't like the title of this one. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. All I know is they took the title from this one, added it to this one, and then made this one, right? So these two are the same fucking game, right? And this one has the same name as this one. I don't know, but I haven't played the Japanese Yu-Gi-Oh games before, because, you know, I did not live in Japan when I was younger. Unfortunately, I lived in the United States when I was younger. So for me, this was something I had dealt with. This was one of my favorite games as a kid, Eternal Duelist Soul. This is the one I'm currently speedrunning. But once I'm done Eternal Duelist Soul, I'm going to go back and play the Japanese ones. And so there's a little bit of a history lesson, and that's going to be something I'm projected to, you know, put some time and effort into. But there you go. That's my current project. So, do a little bit of a history lesson there, and I love Yu-Gi-Oh! So, all right, pop quiz. All right, y'all. You ready for the pop? No, I'm just joking. There's no pop quiz. What the fuck? What are the most obscure games you've got? That could be a whole different... That's a whole different... Like, I would love to go and get them and show them on screen. So, another time I will talk about that. But anyway, that's my hashtag MyGamerStory. And so, there you go. Hashtag. All right, so I'm gonna do some movie reviews because I watch movies every once in a while, and in fact I'm planning theoretically on watching more movies today because I have no life, and so we're gonna be doing some movie reviews here. A daily segment, maybe eventually. Just wait until I do another fucking... Wait until I get into, like, there's, like, in Japan, the way that they name the Yu-Gi-Oh! Games going forward is there's, like, Duel Monsters 3, Expert 2, or, like, you know, Duel Monsters 7, Expert 4, or something. Like, they really get really bizarre with their subtitles and their naming structure. And then, of course, in America, you know, they just forego the numbers and they change the subtitles, and it's crazy. I mean, that shit's crazy. Talk about chronologically confusing. The fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, holy shit, man. That shit, that'll fuck with your brain. That'll fuck with your brain. All right. So, movie review time. We got a movie to review. In fact, I'm going to do two of them here today, so bear with me. So, yesterday, well, not yesterday, actually. Well, it might have been yesterday. I'm not sure. My sense of time is not as good as it used to be. But I watched a movie for the first time, and this movie was called Starship Troopers. So I've heard good things about this movie. And I've never seen it before, and I checked it out. So if you haven't seen the movie, I don't know. This is a movie. It's hard to spoil. Like, the plot is kind of just like, it's just there to. The plot's just, it's just there. Like, it's not, oh, I spoiled the movie. There's a spaceship and it explodes. Spoilers. Yeah, so fuck you. You can't get spoiled on this movie. But so this is Starship Troopers. Now, again, my favorite part of this movie is honestly the humor. The humor is really funny. I love, like, the fucking, like, cutaways where they do, like, the fucking recruiting propaganda videos and stuff like that. And it's like, do you want to know more? Like, it's just great. It's very funny. It's very over the top. It's very silly. It's very humorous. And I enjoy it. So the plot basically is there's, like, there's like a fascist government or something, and there's like interstellar warfare with some other kind of alien species of some kind. And so, the fascist government, tries to get people to join the military and, says if you join the military, we'll basically take care of you for the rest of your life. A little realistic there, but, anyway. But, so then, the main character joins the military because he wants to get laid. He's, his girlfriend or whatever, wants to join and become a pilot, but, he's not as impressive. And so he's so horny that he decides to join the military and nearly get himself killed. So there you go. Now, the thing about this movie, when I was watching this movie, I didn't know that Mr. Krabs was going to be a character. That's right. One of the drill sergeants at boot camp was Mr. Krabs. If you don't know what that means, look up the voice actor for Mr. Krabs. So Mr. Krabs was in this movie, from SpongeBob. And so the first kind of part that's, super fun is just like the boot camp parts were really cool. And then there's this one part where like they're in the middle of like a training exercise, and then they like accidentally friendly fire and like blow one of their like, recruit teammates or colleagues' heads off. Like, it was really bizarre. And, like, it was out of nowhere. They're doing, like, this laser tag thing or something. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, one of their fucking friends gets their head blown off. And it's like, whoa, right? Like, that's crazy. And so, and then Mr. Krabs gets really upset at the main character, who's also still horny. But then also, it's found out, at some point in the movie, the main character, who is extremely horny, gets broken up with. And it's a little sad, and then, he decides to have a meltdown, he freaks the fuck out, and then his parents get blown up by aliens. Oh no! Right? So, and then he gets that resolve, and he's like, you know what? I was gonna quit the military, but now I'm like a super guy. So then he goes in, he starts fighting the aliens, and then, he becomes like the main character or something, and then he sees this like high school teacher in the warfare, and he's like, oh, and then, he shoots more aliens. The thing I love about this movie is that like they do like the classic like extremely funny thing with guns, where like there's like the guns are so unrealistic it kind of just like makes you cringe, but in a good way. So like they're like holding an automatic rifle of some kind, and they just like swing it around. Like that's the whole movie, is they just swing the rifle around. Whoa! Right? Like there's no recoil, that doesn't exist, right? Like there's no ammunition. They don't really have to reload unless it's like they want to shoehorn dialogue in about reloading. So it's a very silly movie. The aliens are fun. I mean, I think the aliens and the combat are genuinely interesting. I like the idea, like the universe is genuinely interesting. I'm into that. But I really appreciate how this movie definitely satirizes the fascism of military, and the fascism of just government, and the mixture of military and government, and the idea that, oh, we've got a war to fight, an interspecies war, so, basically throw out all ethics in the world and just turn the entire human race into like fascist fucking soldiers, right? It's very interesting. But again, the movie was very funny. It was very enjoyable. I love like the propaganda films that just like would insert themselves randomly throughout the movie. Like the main characters are going to be like in the middle of alien combat, and then some guy with a camera like pops up from off screen, and then like the fucking like, like then the bullshit comes on screen, and it looks like it's like a fucking like, Windows 95 setup or clicking on. It's just really funny. But yeah, really good movie. I enjoyed it. I'd recommend it if you like science fiction, if you like humor. I would definitely check it out. And there you go. Mila, and I want to respond to you real quick. It appears that it is in fact true that Madison Cawthorn has yet to answer my calls to take me up on the offer to quote unquote get it. As you said, it is very true that I have been left on red, and I've made several calls that they only rang 3 times, so I think he saw me pop up and then pressed decline. That's what I'm thinking. But anyway, there you go. You can't remember Windows 95? My first computer ever was Windows 95, Bodan. Well, the first computer I ever used, it wasn't mine, but first one I ever used was 95, and then I also used DOS, and then I used 98. And then I jumped to XP. What a world. What a world. Going from Windows 98 to XP. Damn. That's crazy. All right. Let's do another movie. So I was, as I normally do, drugging myself and causing my bloodstream to have various psychoactive chemicals inside of it. And then I watched a filmographic experience known as Equilibrium. So I've never seen this movie before. I've also never heard of this movie. I was just scrolling through, and I was just scrolling through. I think it was on HBO Max or whatever. Just scrolling through, what kind of movie do I want to watch? Maybe sci-fi, I don't know, something interesting. This popped up, and then the cover. I like the cover art. It looks kind of like The Matrix. So you know what? Sign me in, sign me up, I'm in. So this movie, pretty good. I'm going to be honest, I liked it. I liked it. It's a good movie. So anyway, so what's the setup? It's another movie. It's kind of hard to spoil it. Like the basic synopsis, is it exists, and then the movie is just kind of a visual experience. So anyway, so they, World War II happens, right? And then, and then eventually World War III happens. And then, that's like the alternate history is World War III happens. And so after World War III, humanity decides, you know what? We're going to do everything we can. The nukes go on, whatever. We're going to do everything we can to avoid a World War IV. Because, it's just not, World War IV. It's got rhyming to it. You don't really want to deal with that. It's going to be hard to pronounce. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. You don't want to deal with World War IV. So anyway, what their solution is to create a new fascist government. So basically, I guess World War III happens and then the fascists win, right? So like we're in the 4th, 5th Reich, whatever one it is at this point. And they, in order to avoid any war, right? Because the fascists won. So if the fascists are winning, or if they won, and they don't want anyone to go against them, and they've got science fiction technology, right? So what did they do? They develop a system of drugging every human in the society. I think they call it like the Great Society or something like that. They drug them several times a day with some sort of substance that mutes all of their emotions. And so the movie opens up with like, the main character who's like, I think they're called like a cleric or something, just like a high like ranking police official essentially in the fascist government. And so basically their role is to go around and destroy art and other such things that would make human beings feel emotion, right? That the whole goal is to like the opening scene is they set the Mona Lisa on fire. I was freaking out. I was like, you can't do that to the Mona Lisa. Also, I don't know if the Mona Lisa is actually that small because it looked kind of small. But anyway, you can't do that to the Mona Lisa. I'm freaking out. They set that bitch on fire and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? No, not the Mona Lisa. Now, I'm not a huge Mona Lisa fan, but I mean, my guy, if you're setting that shit on fire, wow, I'm going to be pretty mad at you. So they set the Mona Lisa on fire and then I'm freaking out. And so again, then the main character, like his partner or whatever, and so his partner, like, he finds out his partner stole a book, and is reading the book, and, oh no, you can't read books, right? Because if you read books, you might feel something. So then he shoots his partner in the head, bam, bam, boom, right? So he murders his partner. And that's the thing. Okay, so think about it, right? So we're gonna, like, the worst thing in the world is war and like the human impulse to like kill one another, right? That's what the fascist government says. So their solution to that is to have their high-ranking profile, police officers go around and shoot people in the head for reading books, right? You hate, like, human emotion and human, like, temptation for like, destruction and rage so much that you go around and murder people. Like, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. But, it's about as logical as any kind of fascist government. So anyway, then he kills his partner, and then he kind of, like, gets the inkling in his mind, like, oh, maybe I should, feel something. Then there's like the scenes where he first, like, gets off the drug, right? So he decides to stop taking his drug. And those scenes are really good. Like, he's looking in the mirror and he's like feeling, oh my God, that's me. And it's like, that's like me when I did shrooms for the first time. I'm like staring in the mirror and I'm like, oh, right? And then there's also a scene where he looks out the window, right? And the sun is like beaming into his eyes. And that motherfucker is like, he's feeling stuff for the first time in his life. And it's great. So then he decides, you know what? I love to feel. And so then he goes like undercover within the police institution that he is employed in, and tries to basically find a way to kill the fascist leader, of this so-called Great Society, hooking up with like resistance and so forth. And so, it's like, there's, oh my God, I want to talk about the dog scene. So there's a scene where, the main character takes a dog and hides the dog, and it's like, oh, it's such a cute little puppy. And then he murders, well, I guess it's not murder because they're fascists, but then he kills like fucking like 20 fascists that tried to kill him for having the puppy. And I was like, oh yes, he's defending that puppy's honor, right? That scene when he picks up the puppy and he's just holding the puppy in front of his face, and he like, it's so good. It's really good. It's a great scene. And then he kills all the fascists who want to kill the puppy. And it's just great. It's a wonderful movie. It's just really cool. I mean, if you like movies where like fascists get murdered en masse, right? Like there's like so many fucking there's so many scenes where the main character's just like standing in the fucking middle of the room and there's like 30 fascists around him and he just starts fucking murdering those motherfuckers. Like, I guess it's not murder, right? Again, because they're fascists, so they're not human, so you can't murder someone. It's like murdering an ant. Can you really murder an ant? I don't know. But anyway, and then eventually, so he's trying to take down the leader of the fascist government. Then eventually he realizes there is no leader. It was made up. It was a hologram or something, like, facial. It's like he's like a VTuber or something. He's got like that weird like facial recognition software that generates a new face. But then he does like this big standoff with the guy who's pretending to be the father of the fucking society, whatever the fuck. He goes into that guy's chamber and whoops, he finds out that the leader of this so-called Great Society, right, the fascist in charge, actually has a secret art stockpile in their office. And so they've been feeling the whole time. They've been looking at paintings. They've been crying, touching the floor the whole time, right? Wow, what a hypocrite. So then he kills the fucking leader and the world is saved or whatever. But anyway, it's a pretty good movie. I'm very interested. Like, I'm just, like it's a good concept for a movie. Like, the movie's got good action to it. The action scenes are really good. Like, the storytelling is pretty decent. But I really love the concept. Like, the concept is really cool. Like, the story, like, concept for the whole story is just really interesting. And I was into this movie. I endorse it. This is a good movie. And, I endorse it. It's been endorsed. And so go ahead and check it out. There you go. That's the show! That's it. That's all I got. But wait. Yeah! It's the weekend! So, hopefully everyone enjoys their weekend. Because I'm having a good weekend. Well, I guess I'm having a good weekend in the sense that time is an illusion and there is no such thing as linear time, right? So I am yet to experience the weekend, and I'm also experiencing the weekend, and I'm, experiencing death and birth all at the same time, because time is an illusion, doesn't actually exist. And so So hopefully y'all are having a good weekend, as well as hopefully you do have a good weekend, both of which are happening at the same time. And so now, before we leave, we're going to be entering into the Q-Cock portion of the program. Q-Cock. Questions, comments, or concerns. If anyone has questions, comments, or concerns, please field them in my direction. Q-Cock time is what it is now. So there you go. I'm working outside, cleaning my greenhouse, planting a wild flower bed, hooking up hoses, and I'm going to be honest, environmental coffee house. I read a tweet online on twitter.com. I read one of your messages to me or about me, and you said that you don't agree with me all the time. I think Mila may have said the same. I'm not sure. But like the concept that anyone would possibly not agree with 100% of the things that come out of my mouth, to me, honestly, that's offensive. And so I'm just, just joking. What was the music you played during the intro? The music I played during the intro, was, this is another Gubble song. It's from the same game as, this one. It's the same game, just a different song. Speaking of which, I've got to get my world record back for Gubble, so that's a project I'm going to try to do over the next couple of weeks. I don't agree with everyone all the time, but that doesn't mean I think it does. I think it means that you're highly offensive, that you do not respect me really in any capacity. But and honestly, I'm going to be sending a team of lawyers to your home, and they are going to definitely be making it very clear that you should, in fact, agree with everything I say all the time. And so, there you go. And that's the world that we live in. And so, again, we are entering the Q-Cock portion of the program. Q-Cock! That's where we're at right now. I threw my other sunglasses somewhere else, so I don't know where they are. So I've only got the two right now. And so... if you mix them, do they become like purple or something? Like, so here we are. This is pretty cool, actually. Look at this. Look at it. So like, the nose thing, there is no nose thing, right? Like, so look at this. This is like, and it kind of makes it look like, like I have angry eyebrows, like, grrr, I'm so mad. That's what it looks like a little bit. Like, does it? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure. All I do know is that we are, in fact, in the final segment of the show, and that is, in fact, the Q-Cock segment. That is the Q-Cock questions, comments, or concerns segment of the program. And so that's the segment that we're in right now. And so we're here, and I'm ready to answer questions. And there you go. How much is Yu-Gi-Oh! Eternal Duelist Soul? With the box? I'm not sure. Let me look it up. I guess it's worth about $45. But that's without the cards. With the cards, it's worth $80. And I do have the cards. So it is true. Not agreeing all the time is indicative of being capable of critical thinking. Am I right? No, actually you're wrong. I'm not interested in having an audience of critical thinkers that are able to think freely on their own. I want an audience of drones that agree with me and support me all the time, no matter what. And so that's the situation. The lawyers just left my place. Oh no. The goddamn lawyers. I got lawyers worked on this for 5 months.
But it's a class action lawsuit against all machines, and that they're defective devices, okay? I have lawyers worked on this for 5 months.
What is Q-Cock? That is a really good question. A lot of people are wondering. Q-Cock stands for questions, comments, or concerns. That is, if you have anything to say that you want me to read, this is the location of which you would field it. Well, you guys have a wonderful day. I'm going to get my headset on and rewind this and listen to it from the beginning while I'm outside before it rains. That's interesting. That's an interesting statement. Unbelievable. I can't ever imagine disagreeing with me. That's what I'm saying. Bodan is absolutely not a drone. Let's go, Bodan. I agree. All right, y'all. That's it. Like, that's the show. That's the show.
In case you don't know, and you haven't seen the latest polls, the American people hold the President of the United States in contempt.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
They hold this institution in contempt. They hold the Republican Party in contempt. They hold the Democratic Party in contempt. They think that maybe, given all of the crises facing this country, it's about time that there was some bold leadership here and that this institution made some hard choices. Who are you worried about? I'll tell you who I'm worried about. I'm worried about the fact that our workers are seeing a decline in their standard of living. They want to see our industry be rebuilt. That's what they want to see. No more B-2 bombers, no more Star Wars. Let's make the quality products we need. Let's invest in American industry. I won't yield.
Oh, seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of raw peppers and hot sauce.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean now? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low-resolution thinking.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
But the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Dumb. So dumb.
Dub is a shit fuck, cringe tour, etc., etc.
$7 million for reef fish management. $25 billion to combat Asian carp.
Sam, if I could just get the sentence out. We can talk about Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote.
Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the vote.
And by the way, I don't think that's some grand conspiracy. I think this is sort of what power is. I mean this at a sort of high level.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go.
But I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I liked beer. I still like beer. But I did not drink beer to the point of blacking out.
And then they have cans of soup. Soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup from my family. They're so innocent. This is soup from my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground.
The world is actually a small piece of the universe,
at our
right?
cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup from my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.